Catholic Brothers for Christ, we've been doing this for 15 years. This is our 15th anniversary for Catholic Brothers. It started in Plano at Prince of Peace. It actually started from St. Gabriel's men's group and Prince of Peace men's group. They started this. They had some guys come to their Saturday morning program. They said, the speaker said, you guys need to do a men's conference. All these other cities are doing men's conference. You guys have nothing in Dallas, Fort Worth for Catholic men. Now there's Promise Keepers, there's other things like that, but there wasn't anything for Catholic men. Who we are is we're a group of men of various ages and places in life who are deeply committed to having a relationship with Jesus Christ through sharing the gospel through lively brotherhood rooted in prayer, the sacraments, mentorship, and service. So that's what we do. We do all that as Catholic Brothers for Christ. And like our president says, we're a movement. We're a Catholic men's movement. What does that mean? I mean, we are, as you've probably seen in the last few weeks, with some of the activities that are going on, people are coming back to faith. And this is a perfect time for us to get even more people involved in this movement. So that's what we do. Our mission is to invite and invigorate men to live the fullness of Christ's purpose for their lives through wholehearted prayer, engaging brotherhood, and intentional acts of service. Our vision, spirited and courageous missionary disciples fighting together alongside their brothers to cultivate a Christ-centered culture in North Texas. We've spread out though. I mean, we talk about North Texas, which there's about 7 million people in the Metroplex, but we've spread out to Oklahoma, to Arkansas, Louisiana. We have people coming from all around. To Bob's point earlier though, we need to put more people in these seats. We need to get bigger venues with all these Catholic men here. This is to help men stay and get engaged in their faith. Because men, all of us need to be engaged in our faith. When we have other men around us, if we have more fellowship, we get more engaged with Christ. And that's what it's all about. The enemy wants us alone. He doesn't want these men's conferences. He doesn't want men's groups, Bible studies. He doesn't want that. He wants us isolated so he can take us out. That's what Satan wants. So we as brothers try to keep men involved, get them engaged in their faith, and that's why we put these conferences on. That's why we have these Jim Caviezel's of the world, Chris Stefanik, all these guys come in to motivate guys to do that. And every year we hear stories like Jeremy with Father Larry. Jeremy probably was just going through the motions. I don't know. I'm not going to tell your whole story, but Father Larry did something, and now he's leads all these groups at St. Philip's. That's what this is all about. That's a perfect example of what Catholic Brothers does. We're spiritual. We're not the Knights of Columbus. We're not going to serve burritos or things. We're trying to get to your spiritual life and make it completely full. We also want every parish in Dallas, Fort Worth to have a vibrant, strong ministry for men. That means for instance, a Good Shepherd. We have a rosary and discipleship at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning. We pray a rosary in the chapel. About 60 guys come every week. Then we go in the hall and have fellowship and donuts. And we usually play a video or I have a Father Larry video or some type of thing to get men thinking. And then we have small groups as well. So that's what we're talking about. Weekly engagement, not yearly engagement, weekly engagement. So we help men establish and nurture personal relationship with Jesus. We create an atmosphere which men will freely acknowledge their dependence on God's life and success and failures. As some people have mentioned here today, this is a safe place. We want to be able to talk about these things like women do. Women do this all the time. Men sometimes feel like their masculinity is not, they're too strong. They don't need other people. Yes, we do. We all need it. We're all broken. We're all blessed and broken, right? To facilitate and discover the development of the spiritual life, we talked about that. To encourage men to construct a deeper, closer relationship with the family and friends. We are the leaders of our families. We should be the spiritual lead of our family. In fact, You know, over and over again, when the man leads the family in their religion, the kids will stay active in their religion. If it's just the woman by themselves, it's not going to happen. Not that the women aren't trying, they're trying, but they need the men and women of their life to do that. To encourage men to grow and experience the joy of living fully, to become all that we are meant to be by the Creator, I have come so that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And then finally, provide support by joining or helping the DFW-wide Catholic Brothers for Christ leadership team, which is what you guys are here for. You're either here for as ambassadors, which spread the word to your parish, or as on our leadership team. We need leaders all the time. We need fresh blood, because this old man is going to, one of these days, I'm not going to be here. We need people to replace me and the team. So thank you for doing that. So just a little bit about last spring. Who went to the spring event last year? Just about everybody in here. Chris Stefanik was excellent. Kevin Matthews was a surprise, wonderful speaker there. And we also had Father Leo, which was also, he was way more impactful than I thought he was going to be. He was great. He was really good. So those names help people get in the building, right? And so that's why we do this. That's why we get the leaders. It was at St. Elizabeth in Keller, which is a great parish, wonderful parish. Father Flynn is a great pastor. They wanted us to come. They actually reached out to us and said, we want to have the conference here. And how do you turn that down? I mean, they were a big church, and we love doing it there. We had 110 parishes there, different parishes from across the Metroplex in Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma. We had 296 people from Seas were there. That was a record of all time. Like Father Flynn, I think, pretty much said you can't be a member here unless you go to that men's conference. I don't know how he got 296 people there, but that was awesome. There was 51 plus volunteers. We had women volunteers as well, and we always do. And then the Seas nights there were fantastic. They did everything for us, food, the service. They were just fantastic. But it was a great event. We had over 1,000 men there, and you can't ask for much better. Perfect day of weather. Catholic vendor support and sponsors. We had a lot of sponsors last year as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so this is an eye chart. Sorry to put it up there, but this is a recap of all of our events over the years. We've had over 10,000 people attend these events. Now, these may be the same people over and over, but a lot of people have been gone to our events. Over 11,000 people. So these are the spring conference. This is the Experitus. We're not doing Experitus this year. We're doing a Catholic retreat for our leaders and ambassadors coming up in November. We'll talk about that in a minute. November 8th, free retreat at Prince of Peace all day long. All right, so this is where we're going this year. It's Prince of Peace. Prince of Peace was the first conference that we put on 15 years ago in this building right here. We're going to cap it at 900 people, and we are going to sell out. So, that's what we need. The message needs to go out that we're going to sell those 900 seats. So you better sign up early. But the reason we're going back to Prince of Peace to celebrate our 15th year, Father Michael there is such a welcoming. He wanted us to be there, and so that's why we're going. The event next year is going to be about spiritual warfare, and like everybody's seen in the last few weeks, we know that's going on. We didn't need the last few weeks to know that, but this is something that I'm kind of telling the group we need to be prepared for, because we're going to be attacked, and we've already been attacked. I've been attacked since I've told people about this conference. Stand firm, warriors of Christ in a fallen world. We know it's a fallen world. Again, this will be our 15th anniversary one at Prince of Peace. This is our front of our postcard. And if you scan that QR code, it'll go right to registration. We got 3 unbelievable speakers this year. We always have unbelievable speakers, but these are really good ones. The first one is Jim Wahlberg. Now, Jim Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg's older brother. I think they have 11 kids in his family, the Wahlberg family. And Jim was pretty messed up most of his life, and he's going to talk about how he struggled through addiction, through just being in prison, all kinds of stuff. Great story. He'll lead off our conference, but it'll be a great story. We have Father Dan Reehil. Father Dan Reehil, if you don't know who he is an exorcist from the Diocese of Nashville. He's been a priest for about 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure exactly. He'll tell it. He was a Wall Street banker. He had a wild life, and he's going to talk about that. But he's really a holy man that's really turned around. Thank you very much. That's really a great priest, but he's also an exorcist. So he'll talk about that as well. And then we have Sister Mary Michael Fox. And Sister Mary Michael Fox is the first woman we've had speak at our conference. And she's like a Father Larry Nun version. But she's maybe not quite as direct as Father Larry, but she's going to talk about how we need to be better men from a woman's perspective, like why we need to be better men.
You mean she doesn't hold punches?
She doesn't hold punches. No, she will tell it like it is. She was at Oklahoma City's conference a couple different times, and that was the number one speaker they've ever had over Father Larry.
I don't do exorcism on demand, but I will meet with somebody if they're suffering, at least try to relieve some of the suffering before I get them on a spiritual regimen. It's not me that goes out into the day to help these people. It's God, and he works through me, but it's his grace, it's his power. And if I don't get filled up on him, I'm kind of worthless for the rest of the day. I don't know why Jesus is so hated. I don't know why he's so misunderstood. I've prayed about this and pondered this for months and months and months because he never did anything wrong. And she said on 3 occasions in these messages she gives to the world, sin is at an all-time high. This is the most evil generation since the inception of man. The only time I've been physically attacked, and she flew off the floor without using her hands and her feet, and was immediately in front of me and grabbed my stole, and she starts choking me, but she has a grip that I can't break. So I just then focused and I said, in the name of Jesus, stop. And she fell back on the floor and went back to her slithering, and I backed up a few feet and continued. I'm friends with a priest who had 2 300-pound men in the room with him. And again, it was a woman. And she reached over and with one hand lifted one of the guys between his legs and threw him 10 yards with one hand, 300 pounds.
What if your light feels like nothing more than a smoldering wick? And what if, dear friends, we're not just talking about feelings of desolation? What if the light of Christ in you really is nothing more than a smoldering wick? Objectively speaking, you're petty, grumpy, controlling, envious, gossipy, vain, jealous, self-indulgent. If you are, we have a lot in common, and that was not a joke. What if you have an uncontrollable need to be right, to have the last word, to be successful or approved? And let me toss this net just a little bit wider, if I dare. What if you can't stop shopping, eating, drinking, gambling, taking pain medicine? The fact of the matter is, most of us are all broken, bruised reeds, smoking, smoldering wicks. And those who aren't now used to be. I've been asked to speak a word of hope to you all, a word of comfort and peace in a rather messy world, a messy apostolate. I'm going to speak to you about that in the context of a messy self.
There was really no faith to speak of in my home. Age 8 to 11 or 12, there were a lot of trouble. You drink more, you feel less shame. There's an old saying, hurt people, drink dash consequence. I'm 17, 5 minutes, and I get arrested for an armed robbery. That's all prison is. It's just a bunch of sad, broken people that are afraid. I turned 2 years into 5 years. I do the whole 5 years. I do 4 of it in the whole, which is prison within prison. And they brought me into this little visiting room, and there's my mother, and I'm an animal now. she didn't know me. First time I ever heard Jesus died for me. That's the first time I ever heard that God loved me. I was raised with God's gonna get you.
Pricing is $59 early bird. Now, $59 doesn't cover the cost of if we have 900 people pay $59, that's not going to cover the cost of conference. So that's why we have sponsors. But we also charge only $10 for students, because we want students there. Any college kid, any high school kid, any
Students and teachers.
and teachers. So like if you know teachers at any school, it's $10 for teacher. That basically almost covers their lunch. That's a big selling piece to get people there. We want as many students there as possible. So that's why we do that. Clergy is free, deacons are free. There's a place on the site to register all that.
What about boys under 18?
You can be 16 and under.
16 and over.
16 and over, I mean. With your parent, with a parent, with a dad. And we had a lot last year with Chris Stefanik.
From Good Shepherd, you saw a lot of people here from Good Shepherd. And Chirp came to Good Shepherd from St. Gabriel's to Prince of Peace. And Prince of Peace brought it to Good Shepherd in 2010. And at the spiritual director and the lay director obviously were from Prince of Peace and all the people that put it on, and they stayed through the formation, and they're the ones that invited us to come to the first men's conference. And there was one person from Good Shepherd come to that men's conference in 2010. The next year we had about 30, then the next year we had 60, and you saw last year I think the number was 158. Now there's 130 parishes or so. If we could get 150 people from 100 parishes, and you as an ambassador can make that impact. That's the most important thing. I mentioned Milwaukee, and the reason they have that is they weren't putting on a men's conference. And many years ago, that's what we were doing. A men's conference means you come and you get inspired and then go home. A movement is you take it back and you grow your faith. How do we grow that? How do we get that movement? How can Promise Keepers fill up a football stadium? And we can. We can. There's that many Catholics in North Texas, and we can do that. And one person can make a difference. He went in the lion's den and absolutely told the truth, and if I'm offensive in that to anybody, I apologize just like he would. But I have a friend of mine that has all his business is in Europe. He has huge businesses all across Europe and parts of the world. And Monday he texted me and said, "You on Twitter?" Now he's asking me that because he's younger than I am. He said, "You on Twitter?" He said, "Following what's going on, the world is changing." And he said, "Did you see the memorial yesterday?" And I said, and he said he watched it from 1:30 to 7:30. Then he said this, you may or may not know this, 100 million people around the world watched it. He said all three mainstream media channels in France carried it live, Sweden, UK, Australia, and South Korea. Then he put John 12:24. And that was it. And I thought, well, I need to look up what John 12:24 is sometime. The next day, I'm reading another article, and it opened up why he put John 12:24. John 12:24 says, "Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds." This is what I didn't know. I got chills on my arm right now. Is Charlie Kirk died at 12:24. And you could, if you see what he's doing as a Protestant, his wife is Catholic, and as a Protestant, talking about Mary, if you haven't watched that is awesome. and talking about, he was saying the rosary and all those things. So you can be the same kind. It's like, I'm not going to have 100 million people watch me do anything. But we can go out and get 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 or 30 from your parish. And so we thank the ambassadors. That's what's going to make this movement grow.
That is why we're here today again, is to spread the word, to communicate the conference. There was a note about security. So, all this stuff going on with Charlie Kirk and everything, the last few years we've kind of ramped up security. Last year we had a whole team of guys, the guardians at Seas, that protected us, and we'll do the same again this year with Prince of Peace as well. Plus we have officers, that sort of thing. So do not be afraid. And if you die, you go right to heaven. So you shouldn't have to worry about it anyway.
Put that in writing for me.
I'm not authorized to do that. Jesus is the only one authorized to do that. When we form our leadership team, which will be in November, that's when we'll define roles. Like Gus is the sponsor guy, but we're going to need other people as well. So, as the ambassador role, you can be on our leadership team as well. So all of you are welcome to do that. We need, like I said, we need some fresh thinking, we need tech people, we need we need help. So if you want to join that team, we'll communicate when our leadership meetings are. The way that works is we have them like once a month up until like January. We'll probably have 2 a month until up the event on February 28th. So you can even meet virtually if you can't make a meeting. If you can make it virtually, that's good as well. But we're not going to take up a lot of your time. Everybody thinks they're going to spend a whole lot of time doing this. You're not. Just those weeks leading up to the conference will be a little more tedious, if that makes sense. Yeah, so the retreat, I don't have a slide about it, but there's a retreat November 8th. It's a Saturday, November 8th. I will send out the details of it. It starts at 8:30 and it goes till 4. You can stay and go to Mass if you want at Prince of Peace for your Sunday obligation. The purpose of that meeting is, it's kind of like, for people who've been to Chirp or Acts, who's been there to Chirp or Acts? All right. It'll be similar to that, where we're going to share our history and faith sharing with each other, get a little deeper with each other, and that the idea is for all of us to grow as a team. It's not going to be planning the conference. It's going to be about getting to know the team members, and then we probably will discern what our role will be for that conference, if that makes sense. We're going to have Father Michael, what's Father Michael's last name? Forge. From Prince of Peace. He's going to come open the conference open the retreat. He'll talk about his priesthood, and then we'll go through, witnessing, and then we have a witness coming in as well to talk. So it'll be a great day of fellowship in November 8th, Prince of Peace in Plano.